Some of you may be tired of hearing me speak about political Islam, a.k.a. Islamism. But believe me, I will never tire of exposing the truth. All Muslims are not Islamists, we know that. But all Islamists are hardly Muslim and use Islam to create havoc and evil. The pandemic has thrown a blanket on the heinous acts of these evildoers. There is a huge elephant in the rooms of Western democracies, and very few in the Western world want to know about the problem, let alone deal with it. Let me recap. From 2009 to 2016, there were 133 terror attacks on the West. From 2017 to 2020, there were 105 terror attacks. And in 2021, there have been 12 terror attacks in the Western world. Too many for comfort, but not enough to wake up our leaders? Most recent was the stabbing death of British MP David Ames by 25-year-old Ali Harbi Ali, a Muslim Briton of Somali heritage. According to the BBC, Harbi Ali was once referred to the counter-terrorist prevent scheme some years ago, but there was never a formal subject of interest to MI5. Police said that early investigations revealed a potential motivation linked to Islamist extremism. Even more troubling is the fact that after stabbing David Ames, Harbi Ali came and brazenly sat down waiting for the police. His job was done, and now the 72 virgins were his. Earlier this month, Espen Andersen Brathen, a recent convert to Islam in Denmark, killed 5 non-Muslims in the Norwegian town of Kongsberg using a bow and arrow and possibly other weapons. The fact that he was carrying a bow and arrow proves that he lives in a 7th century mindset, and red flags should have popped up everywhere. The regional police chief said, and I quote, "Earlier there had been worries of the man having been radicalized," end of quote. But neither police nor the Domestic Intelligence Service elaborated or said why they flagged Andersen Brathen or what they did with the information. The question is, why was Brathen allowed to continue to operate freely when there was apparently ample information available that could have led to him being identified as a person of interest to the authorities? In March of this year, a man of Afghan origin was accused of stabbing people in the Swedish municipality of Vetlanda. The man attacked people with an axe, leaving 8 injured. 3 of them sustained serious, life-threatening injuries. The victims were hospitalized and the attacker was arrested. Wow! Using an axe in the 21st century? Shouldn't this make one think? In September, an ISIS supporter stabbed 6 people before being shot by the police in Auckland, New Zealand. The attacker came to New Zealand in 2011 and became a person of interest in October 2016, authorities said. The so-called leading group representing Muslims in Australia, the Australian Federation of Islamic Councils, a group that Dr. Zuhdi Jasser exposed as Islamists in his 2019 visit, just tried to have the Taliban speak for them and to Australian Muslims. The event was eventually cancelled, but their true colors were exposed. The urgent questions that should be raised by law enforcement, government leaders, and security experts while connecting the dots of the attacks just mentioned are not being asked. However, Wen Wright has written an article in the American Thinker titled "Islamist Terrorism Again, a Herd of Elephants in the Room." It's a brilliant article in which he says, the nonsense of the rhetoric of Islamophobia means that informed, intelligent, open public debate about the elephants in the room is now all but impossible. This means that the radicalizers, always only hinted at, will never be identified, and the radicalization of new Islamic terrorists will continue with nothing effective ever being done about it. He continues in this article, every time there is an Islamic terrorist incident, the story is the same. Multiple missed opportunities to apprehend and detain the suspect prior to the attack. But somehow, the authorities always seem to be inhibited from acting early enough. And finally, he writes, the last elephant in the room is the almost total lack of any focus on the Muslim communities in the West concerning what they might do about this problem that emerges from their midst. Most Muslims are law-abiding and peaceful and oppose terrorism. Islamist terrorism is as much their problem as it is that of non-Muslims. But most Muslims seem to be reluctant to confront the issue of terrorists in their mosques, where the supposed radicalization can only take place, for fear of themselves becoming the target of terrorism. As a reformist Muslim, my job is to bring the facts to the forefront. This is our joint problem, and unless we can deal with it together, this is just the beginning. This is Raheel Raza for Rebel News. Don't forget to click and like www.rebelnews.com.